Hey everybody, and welcome to the first edition of the Nooch and Baca Show. I'm Dave Fanucci here, your host, and I'm pleased to be joined by my buddy, longtime friend, Mike Baca out in Chico, California, Kpay Sports. Mike, how you been, my friend?
Doing great. As you can see, I have a bunch of press passes right over here, but I have no events to go to locally. So I will not be adding to my wall of press passes for any time in the foreseeable future.
Yeah, not anytime soon. So Mike and I decided to start up a little sort of Zoom podcast here for fans. And Mike and I are huge baseball fans, and we have a baseball season to talk about, Mike, and it's exciting. Although it's a different situation, it's different. It's short, 60-game season, but we do have baseball, and it's strange. There's no fans in the stands. We've been watching some games on TV. We've seen about 4 or 5 games so far. You're a huge Dodgers fan. I'm a huge Giants fan. We thought we'd get together on Zoom and talk a little bit about the games once a week, and then throw it out there to the fans. They can listen to our commentary and our opinions and see what we think. But that's kind of the reason why we're doing it, and I'm excited to get this going with you.
Yeah, it's going to work. It's going to be great. If we have some of the scintillating discussion that we have off camera, it's going to be entertaining because we usually don't hold back on how we feel about our squads and how we feel about each other's squads. We've known each other long enough that you can be honest with me. I can be honest with you. We don't take it personal. So if you're a Giants fan and you might not like something I may say, it's not personal. It's just about your team. And I don't take anything personal when Fanucci is talking maybe about, the Dodgers over the last 7 years, getting to October, not being able to finish the deal, and, talking about the cobwebs on my Gibson VHS tape. I mean,
Right.
I don't take it personal about any of that.
Yeah, it's fun banter between you and I. And you know what's amazing, Mike? We've been doing this for 30 years now, man. Can you believe that? We met back in Chico
Talking stuff
State in
30 years.
1990.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that two guys that love these two teams, could love the rivalry as much as you and I do? And
I honestly, Fanucci, I am shocked that we've known each other for 30 years and the Giants have won 3 world championships and the Dodgers have won 0.
Yeah.
Goose egg. I am shocked.
You would have never thought that.
I would have never thought that. I mean, I was sitting there the count. Okay.
I'm almost as shocked as you, Buck. I mean, I was, when we met, the Dodgers, you had grown up as a Dodger fan, and you had won one in 88, just two years prior to us.
81. I won in 81.
81 and 88. So you had won it twice as a teenager, as a fan of baseball, and I had still been hoping and praying. And then I was just coming off the World Series loss in '89 to the A's in the heartbreaker in the Bay Bridge series, and I had still, as a Giants fan, we were just hoping to win one. At the end of the day, as a Giants fan in San Francisco, we had no world championships. And when we met in the early 90s, I was just hoping the Giants would win a World Series in my lifetime. And it still went for another, 20 some odd years until they got to Texas, up 3-1. And that was, the greatest night of baseball I've been to. So
okay.
And it still includes a ridiculously heartbreaking loss in 2002 to the Angels.
Okay. When you blew the 5-0 lead with 8 outs to go against the Angels, you had to be thinking, not only in Game 6, but when you lost Game 7, you had to think, I am never going to witness a World Series. The Giants will never win a World Series with me alive.
That's right,
I will be 10 feet underground when they win one.
Absolutely, because you think about it, that window for that team with Kent and Bonds and those guys to win the World Series was right there. I mean, Baker had it in his hands, and we blew it. So I didn't think that team was not going to come back and win it. So basically, you're saying to yourself, Jesus, we got to rebuild an entire team, and who knows when that team could ever. But unbelievably, 8 years later with the pitching staff and Lincecum, Kane, and Mad Bum and Vogelstone and these guys. But So that, like I said, in 2010, I was just happy to win it
I
once.
know.
And
I
then again,
know.
I mean, the 12 and 14 is like icing on the cake. And for you, I know it's just twisting the nail in the side of your, and just turning it. But that being said, man, let's move on let's get going and talk about this season.
Well, I got to mention, you said in '02, Dusty Baker had it in his hands. Yes, it was in Russ Ortiz's hands, and he took it out of his hands, and gave it to Frankie Rodriguez's hands, and then Tim Worrell's hands, and then that was all she wrote.
I mean, and you know, you guys were right there against Houston, and Darvish tipped his pitches, and you had it in Game 7 at home. You had the setup at home against the Astros, and that is just that's got to be a bit. Even though that game was not, I mean, you lost 5-1, but that's just got to be a bitter.
It's never been about Game 7. It has never, to me, been about Game 7. It's always been about Game 5. Yeah. It's been about being a 2-2, Kershaw on the mound with a 4-0 lead. He had just thrown a 3-hit complete game, striking out 11 in Game 1. But he could not put any of those Astros hitters away in Game 5. And now we know why, because they were banging on trash cans. They were giving verbals. You know, I think we'll get into this in our show here. But, I mean, there's a lot of blame to go around. But and we're going to get into this because the Dodgers play the Astros beginning today in a big series. Dodger fans always will give Clayton the benefit of the doubt. He's one of us. You know, he's one of us. He's our ride or die guy, and I will much rather have a Clayton Kershaw going out there giving everything he can, maybe not getting it done. I will ride or die with him than bring in some guy that I don't necessarily, maybe may not be invested and hasn't been through the wars with the Dodgers. So we'll get into that, but I can't wait.
The history is there, as you know. Both of us are well versed in it for the 30 years we've known each other, and so we enjoy talking about this thing going back and forth. And that being said, before we talk about these opening series between the Giants and Dodgers, real quick, I mean, let's just set the stage here, Mike, where we're at today, a Tuesday morning when we're filming this. Man, the Marlins have had to shut down the entire team. They've got this morning 17 guys test positive for the coronavirus. This is the world we're in this crazy baseball situation. And the Marlins in Philly, the Marlins and the Orioles they were playing couldn't play their 2 games yesterday or today.
Yeah, it's brutal right now for the Marlins. And I thought it was interesting yesterday. The owners and Rob Manfred had a big meeting, and they decided full speed ahead. I mean, we anticipated this could happen to one of our teams. I don't think they anticipated it happening this early, but I really believe that baseball is doing the best they can under the most difficult of circumstances. They're really kind of doing the guinea pig thing. They're trying to make this fit, but I think baseball's got to – they don't – and one of the things to look at, they don't have a lot of built-in days where they can make games up. I mean, are the Marlins going to have to play like 16 doubleheaders to make this stuff up? So this is going to be pretty rough. I think there are going to have to be some decisions on the fly, maybe some roster allowances later in the season if they've got to play back-to-back doubleheaders to make these things up. But, of course, baseball's
squads are going to be huge.
Baseball's looking at the health of the players, which I think is vital. And I think it's important to also say, just because there's been a breakout with the Marlins, it could have happened to any team. Because if you catch COVID, it doesn't mean that you did something wrong. It just means you came into contact with somebody who had it. And so it's just it's not necessarily a scarlet letter if you contract it. And that's something to be noted, because a lot of people are saying, I can't, the stigma along. Well, it's airborne, so you could catch it by someone sneezing near you. So.
Yeah, and I think the taxi squad from Miami is going to be they're going to get a lot of young guys into an opportunity right now to play. I mean, they're going to have to bring up a bunch of their extra 30 guys on that they're all going to play. I mean, they're going to have to, because they're not going to shut down the Marlins for more than a couple days. You've got all these extra guys, the guys that are not positive are going to stay on the roster, and then everybody else off the taxi squad is going to have to come up and play. And if I'm reading things right, I believe the Marlins are going to get back into action, not today, but whatever their next series was against whoever they're playing next after the Orioles. So they're going to have these 2 games to make up against Baltimore sometime down the road. Now, theoretically, Mike, I mean, I don't think either one of those teams is in position to advance to the postseason. But
who knows? 16, everybody gets in the postseason this year. 16 teams.
16 teams. Well, 14 will be left out, but yeah, those 14 teams are going to get they're going to get participation trophies and orange slices after the games.
Yeah, well, sometimes that's good enough.
Yeah,
I've been on team. I was on teams in Little League where we would have taken a participation trophy and a ribbon.
Right, they get ribbons and participation trophies. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
For 2 months. But that being said, that's the world that everybody's in, right? So let's get back to opening weekend here. Giants and Dodgers at LA. I, as a Giants fan, am obviously thrilled. I mean, not with the way it started. I mean, we looked horrific the first 2 games, but the expectations for both of our team, Mike, could not be more opposite. I mean, obviously, you guys are looking at a potential. Obviously, there's no doubt you're going to be in the playoffs. You could play horrifically and still make the postseason, but you guys are hoping to pull off a World Series championship here. The Giants are in no position to do that. If we were even in the mix or the conversation for a playoff berth this year in early September, it would be a phenomenal thing. So obviously, let's set that up, right? I mean, the expectations for both clubs are completely different. That being said, we go into Dodger Stadium and win those last 2 games. You probably are not happy.
Just look
like it.
I mean, the only thing that could come to my mind, the one word that came to my mind after that series was, I'm just embarrassed. Yeah. And it had to do with a couple of things. I mean, the first 2 days went swimmingly, outscore 17-2. It almost looked too easy. And I thought, this is really not a gauge on the Dodgers. It's basically an indictment on the Giants and where they are, which is not a bad thing. And we'll get into that in future shows.
Yeah, I mean, we're rebuilding, Mike. I mean, everybody knows we're rebuilding. Right?
Yeah, so
Zaid's rebuilding a roster. We don't have an all-star lineup like you guys. We're trying young guys. We have some veteran guys that are pitching and guys that are still under contract. We're in no position. Buster opted out. Buster basically came to the summer camp, Baca. He took a look around and said, I'm out of here. See ya.
Yeah, I'm not playing with these guys.
I'm not playing 60 games with this crew.
So, I mean, when I looked at what happened over the weekend, Saturday disturbed me because of the base running. Some people aren't concerned about it. I am a big stickler on base running. I think if you're not running the bases well, it means you're not mentally engaged in the game. And I've always thought that. There were 4 base running blunders by the 6th inning. I know it was opening weekend and I was jacked for baseball, but it was time to do some shopping. It was time to head to Costco and buy some meat. Yeah. Because I was not going to watch Justin Turner forget how many outs there were, or guys not freeze on line drives, or Chris Taylor on a base hit goes from second, stops, looks to the outfield, doesn't look at his coach, then looks at his coach, then decides I'm going to go and gets thrown out, making the first out at third base. I just no. So
craziness.
It was crazy
play for those last 2 games for LA, and it's on the other hand for us, Mike. We win that 3rd game 5-4 after going up 5-1, and held on with the bullpen. But then the last game we win it 3-1.
Yeah.
With played a pretty decent game. Now the Giants
played a good game.
Decent game, yeah. I mean, the Giants, what have we got? What have we got so far offensively? Not much. I mean, I like Solano and Ruff at the third base and first base combo, filling in for Longo and Belt. I don't. Baca.
You think of Dubon? You like Dubon?
I like Dubon. He's a nice young guy. I like Heineman, who's come in. This kid hit 360 last year for Sacramento as a catcher. I mean, if you're going to fill in for Buster, give Tyler a shot. Let him some playing time. He had a couple hits and 3 or 4 hits over the weekend. I don't mind him back there and give him a chance to hit. He contributed. Carlos Barragan, I never heard of the guy. He comes in and is the winning pitcher in his big league debut in that third game. Pitched 2 shutout innings, looked great. I like the way Rico Garcia has thrown the ball out of the pen for the Giants. These are all young guys. The only thing that hasn't worked so far is McCarthy. I don't know where they found Joe McCarthy, picked him up from the Devil Rays. I think he's been in camp a couple years. McCarthy's 0 for 8. He hit under 200 in AAA last year. I don't know where they get the idea that this kid is a contributor, but, you know, and the other thing, Pence hasn't done anything either for us. So
well, maybe Joe McCarthy is Connor Joe reincarnated.
He's the Connor Joe and Michael Reed of last year. So Zaidi in his 2 years has thrown in our starting opening day lineup has thrown Connor Joe, Michael Reed, and Joe McCarthy in the outfield for the Giants.
Makes a good law firm.
Yeah, and those guys are Joey Mack.
McCarthy Reed. McCarthy Reed. If you get in trouble, call McCarthy and Reed. They'll get you out of jail.
Oh my God. And Joe's not going to make it another week and a half or so. He's an experiment. I don't know what happened to Billy Hamilton, Baca.
I've never seen someone give up on guys quicker than you. You were yesterday we were having a conversation. You're like, I don't know what's up with this. I'm playing fantasy baseball and this Ronald Acuna guy, I can't believe it. What's the matter with him? I mean, don't give up on guys after 8 at bats.
Hey, I'm not giving up on Acuna. Believe me, I know that dude. But Joey Mack, I mean, come on, Giants fans. This kid hit $164 in AAA at Baca. I mean, how do you promote him to the big leagues?
Give him a shot.
Okay, give him a shot. He's 0 for 8 so far. We'll keep giving him a shot.
If he's 0 for 30,
Hamilton.
Well, we know what
Hamilton's nowhere to be found.
We know what Billy Hamilton's about. We know we've got a track record of Billy Hamilton. He'll hit 200. He'll have an OBP on base percentage of about 280 to 290, and if he gets on base, he'll steal second and he'll steal third.
Right.
But you know what you're going to get with him. Maybe Joey Mack's got some tools that they like.
Austin Slater can play in left.
Yeah, he can. Austin Slater's not bad.
Stremski's out there. Dubon's playing center. You got Pence in right. I mean, there are options. You keep giving Joey Mack an opportunity, and we'll see what happens. But
the thing is, you Giants fans, I just hear this. I hear it from you, but I hear it from a lot of Giants fans in this area. There's a fatalism to your view of what is going on and what's happened. And where you're going in terms of Farhan Zaidi. Listen, I saw Zaidi firsthand. There's a lot of things I don't like about the guy when he was with the Dodgers, but the one thing he does know is that the talent evaluation with the Dodgers went from virtually nothing under Frankie McCheap, the parking lot attendant owner, to absolutely building a organization from the ground up through the farm system. And the Giants, I think, are committed to do that. They've handed the keys to Zaidi. You can just tell Zaidi's making all the decisions. There is no way that Gabe Kapler is the manager of the Giants if Zaidi isn't the second in command of the Dodgers, working with Kapler, who's director of minor league system, and is now the manager of the Giants. Okay, Dodgers passed on Kapler.
Hold on right there. I understand everything you just said. You just mentioned, though, the key to why the Giants feel this way, Giants fans feel this way. Okay, we have a former Dodger personnel guy and Dodger minor league guy, Gabe Kapler.
Yeah.
Now running our squad. So timeout. Let me ask you, how would you feel if the Giants assistant GM started taking over the Dodgers?
I will tell you right now that during the years the Dodgers were continuing to come up short. If someone told me, listen, Baca, we're going to give you Bruce Bochy as your manager, and we're going to give you Brian Sabian as your general manager, I would have said, where do I sign up?
You would
Because
sign
I
up
want
for that.
I want to win.
Kapler didn't win anything.
No, but I want to win. I don't care what organization they're from. I don't care that the Giants. I mean, if the Giants fans are skeptical because Zaidi and Kapler were in the Dodger organization, they should look at where the organization was. Then they handed the keys to Bobby Evans. He signs $500 million in ridiculous contracts.
That was a mistake.
Ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
And then, okay, they did a good job, I thought, the Giants front office of saying, okay, this Bobby Evans experiment is not really working because we're investing in a bunch of old guys now. We're giving them way too much money. Zaidi's cleaning that up, and he is almost following to a T the blueprint that he had with the Dodgers that he saw Friedman. Friedman was just wanting to clear the bad money off, clear it off, quit signing these retreads, and he saved. There's no money on the books after 2022, so the Dodgers had the money to sign Mookie. But that's another point. The fact is I really think the Giants are going to be in about 18 months, right where Zaidi envisions them. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, once we clear these huge contracts with Longo, Belt, and Shark and Cueto, it's an entire young
Crawford.
We had to go. Zaidi had to go from the oldest roster in the big leagues to trying to create the youngest, and that's a long process. It's a 3 or 4 year process. It's basically what the Astros did under Lunau. And you have to be lousy for a while. We understand we're not going to be. We were no good last year. We're not going to be any good in this short season. But I like to see what I like to see, Baca. If I'm gonna, I understand we're not going to the postseason in this 60-game year. I just want to see young guys get opportunity to play. Young guys that will be pieces of our roster. Not some fly by night. Where'd you find this Joe McCarthy? Give the young guys that are are going to be solid pieces of your roster. You're not taking a chance on these flyers. I mean, it's like he's just sort of experimenting with guys. Hey, let me give this guy a chance to see if he can do anything in 2 weeks, and if not, I mean, he got rid of Connor Joe and Michael Reed in a week because they didn't do anything. And so it's you got to show me that you know that these guys are going to be part of your roster, and then put them out there and let them play. Let them play every day, all the time.
Listen, I think he's doing that. I mean, I think after, McCarthy's got 8 at-bats. I mean, that's not going to get – it's unfair. Unfair to get rid of the kid.
Let's see what he does. He's going to – in this 60-game season, if he's going to be part of the roster, and let's do that. But, the guys like Solano, Heineman, Dubon, those guys need to be playing every day. They're going to be part of your team in the future. Maybe Darren Ruff sticks. I don't know what happens to him when Belt comes back. We'll see. But
the Giants are stacked, man. The Giants about 4 years ago. No, the Giants minor league system is reloading, and you had a draft, and I think that one of the worst things for the Giants made this decision to turn the corner and move on because their drafts were just like horrific.
Yeah.
I mean, they were having awful drafts under Bobby Evans. So Zaidi, he knows this stuff. I mean, whether you want to believe in the analytical data that he uses or the formulas that he uses, there is no denying that under Friedman and Zaidi, the Dodgers drafts were amazing. You knew if they took someone in the first 2 to 3 rounds, that guy was coming to the big leagues in 2 to 3 years or be eligible or ready. Yeah. And so when the Dodgers had an injury, I just call this kid up from Double-A, give him a cup of tea. Yeah, he'll work. He'll play. He just hit 250 over 2 weeks. We'll send him back, get him a ton of ABs. Plus, you bring in guys who are versatile. Kike Hernandez, Chris Taylor, those types of players. I believe Zaidi's trying to build this like the Dodgers built. And that's what makes me – I'm not happy about it. When they hired Zaidi, I was not happy because I don't want – I wanted to – yeah, I've seen it. And there's a lot of things I don't like in game about the analytical approach of Friedman and Zaidi. I don't like how, constant platoons drives me nuts. I see. Constant platoons. But Zaidi's going to do that. He's going to platoon, because that's what him and Kapler do. The Dodgers have finally committed this year. You know what? Our players are stars. We're not going to platoon them all the time. And every time a lefty comes in, we're not going to pull a lefty. Well, they should have with Kpay a couple of times when you've got Matt Baca on the bench with the bags juice the other night, and they don't pull him in a righty versus – I mean, the Giants can't pull the pitcher because it's a 3-batter minimum. So you got to bring in the lefty. You had Jock Peterson and Baca on the bench. Bags are juiced. Kike's up, and I knew Dave Roberts was going to say this. Well, he's not. He said about Taylor Rogers, he's not really a righty killer. But you've got Jock Peterson, who's a righty killer. Right. He's on the bench. So, I mean.
Kike is a giant killer, though. I can tell you that much. I was shocked that we got him out with bases loaded because the guy kills us every time in that situation. So maybe he was going off that. I don't know. At the end of the day, Baca, let's wrap up what we're talking about here for this season. Giants and Dodgers split. I know you're not happy. Giants fans are great with it. So give me your real quick prediction. How many games? Now I'm going to say the Dodgers are going to win their 8th or 9th straight National League West crown this year.
I think it's 8.
Okay.
I think it's 8.
I'm giving you that. It's straight up, no questions asked. Even though you're going to complain about the way they play, they will win the West this year, no doubt, in my mind. Now, they'll probably win it with, I would say, between 35 and 40 wins, somewhere around maybe 40 and 20, 39 and 21, somewhere in there. Maybe even a little better than that, maybe 43 and 17. I don't know. I'll give you that, though. How many wins do the Giants get, in your estimation, this year in 60 games?
22 and 38. Yep.
Okay.
22 and 38.
All right. I've been saying 25 and 35 the whole time, 10 games under 500. I think if we go 10 games under 500, 25 and 35, that is not going to make the playoffs in the National League. And that'll be, I guess, an as expected season, right, from this young group.
Yeah.
Could you give us 25? 25 would be okay, wouldn't it, for this group?
Giants win 25 games, and if I'm Zaidi, I'm like, we got to play 2 hard months of baseball with these young kids, and we're going to go into next year supercharged. We had a good draft. We got Joey Bart very close to making his debut. We got to figure out what we're going to do with Posey, because listen, it's a Benji Molina type of deal when Posey was ready to burst in. Benji Molina was still serviceable as a big league catcher, but the Giants had to make the hard decision, like, listen, we can't hold Posey back any longer. Posey is going to understand, like, his best days are behind him. He may have to shift a position. I mean, he may have to say, if I wants to stay in the lineup, you're paying him 2 more years, I believe, at like 5 million. So the fact is, you got to have him in the lineup. And he's a good guy to have in the lineup. He should always be wearing a Giants uniform. Posey should not be. We always
wish he would be at first base and move Belt somewhere else. I mean, we've been wanting that for years, and because me personally, I'm not a huge Belt guy, never have been. I know a lot of Giants fans are not a huge Brandon Belt guy. I mean, the guy is just Mr. Unclutch. I mean, he has one clutch hit in his career. One clutch hit in his career, Baca.
18th inning.
The 18th inning against the Nationals in the playoffs. So he hit a solo home run. Other than that, there's not much there on the clutchness for Brandon Belt. I mean, the guy just doesn't – he produces a bunch of unproductive runs that don't matter. And when it always matters, he's never coming through. That being said, let's move on. I think we've done enough on Giants Dodgers right now as the season begins. But let's take let's give me your quick take, Baca. Give me a quick take on Dodgers Astros this series. Unexpected because it wasn't supposed to they weren't supposed to eat meat this year. But because of the coronavirus schedule, the West is playing the West. Now the Dodgers get a chance to face the Astros. And this is a team, Baca, that I can't believe, one of the side stories here is the Astros were going to come into a season, they were going to get hammered and heckled all year long by fan bases because of the sign stealing scandal. And nobody was affected more than you guys as the Dodgers. The 2017 season when you lost the World Series to them. And that being said, now you guys get to face them for 3 games. I mean, are you going to be putting these guys on base with beanballs? I mean, their hitters are. I mean, you're going to be hitting them then. You anticipate your pitchers throwing at Astros hitters and putting them on base.
I'll put it this way. I don't necessarily want to see the Dodgers be hitting a bunch of Astros and then bring up, Bregman with runners on base all the time.
Right.
But I will be greatly disappointed if the Dodgers aren't buzzing the tower. I want the tower buzzed.
Yes.
I want up and in. I don't want them feeling comfortable. And if a fastball with 2 outs and nobody on gets away and plunks an Astro in the ribs, no one's going to lose any sleep over it in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I think strategically for me, Baca, if I'm the Dodgers, you plunk them. You absolutely intentionally hit the Astros when the game is not – it's not factoring into the game. Let's say it's a 5-1 game in the 8th inning, and you're losing 5-1. I mean, you're going to throw at an Astro. I mean, you're going to hit somebody, right?
Well, it depends.
You're down 4 runs in the 8th, or you're up 9-1, and you're going to hit them when it doesn't really factor in, and you can afford to put a guy at first base.
It can't just be anyone. I'm telling you right now. I mean, I don't care if they're hitting. I don't want to hit Yordan Alvarez. He wasn't even on that team.
He wasn't part of it. Yeah.
I don't want to be hitting. The guys I want to buzz the tower on. Number 1, Carlos Correa. He told Cody Bellinger to shut the bleep up, and he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Right.
And he came at the Dodgers. So number 1, I want Carlos Correa. I want tower buzzed. If you're gonna drill anybody, that's the guy I want drilled. I mean, I can't stand Carlos Correa.
The members of the 17 team that are playing for the Astros, they're gonna get drilled.
Bregman.
Once or
Altuve,
twice.
Yep. Once
or twice. It's not going to be fun, and those guys have got to anticipate that. They absolutely have to. I mean, I don't know if they could have anticipated against all the other teams, but going into this series, those dudes got to know they're going to get hammered. They're going to get hit.
Well, and aside from the hit thing, I want to win. I want to win this series.
You can't really be in a 2-2 game. You can't lead off a guy, throw at a guy and put him at first base. These games matter too much, Baca.
Yeah.
I mean, you cannot be in a 2-2 game in the 6th and throw at Bregman.
No,
you can't just put him on for no reason.
No, they're not going to do that. Dodgers aren't going to do that.
No, so you're only going to do it.
They'll be smart about it.
You got to be smart about it, but they are going to get drilled. That being said, you guys got to go down into Houston. What are you looking for in the 3 games? I mean, you got to hope you get 2 out of 3.
Well, I love the fact we held Buehler back because I know Buehler wants the ball, and Buehler gives. He doesn't care. I mean, that guy is. If the Dodgers have a personification of, forgive my French, a red ass like Bumgarner, it's Buehler. Buehler gives 0 cares about how anybody feels about him. He takes them out with an attitude. He's really, really cocky. I love it. He's got the ultimate confidence. He's the guy I want on the bump tonight in game 1. Set the tone. Dodgers need to score some early runs. And then, I would love to see Buehler with a 6-1 lead in the 7th, 2 outs, Correa at the plate, and just plant one.
Right. Side.
Yeah,
so
right
you
there.
guys got you got Dustin May. Now the Astros without Verlander, you won't be facing him.
No Verlander.
You will face McCullers, but you've got Dustin May, and then who's determined in the 3rd game there? Do you know?
It could be Stripling.
Stripling, yeah.
Could be Stripling.
So,
I mean, I like the pitching depth of the Dodgers. I really do.
I mean, May is great. He looked great on opening day against the Giants. So I think you got I think you do have the pitching upper hand in those first 2 games.
And we need to get Mookie going. Gotta get Mookie going. I mean, I'm not one of those going to say, okay, you're making all this money now. I need you to hit every single game. I'm not that guy, but got to get him going. Got to get him barreling some balls, hitting some gaps, I mean, he's had a couple of hits, but got to get him going.
So you got to get two out. You got to get 2 out of 3 there, Baca. I mean, right? I mean, a sweep would be nice, but you're happy with 2.
I'm happy. Well, I'm happy to win. I want to win today. I want to win today. Then I'll look at the next game, and I want to win that game.
All right. Well, the Giants come home.
Who you got? Padres?
We bring home the Padres. Yeah, the Padres take 3 out of 4
they're good.
From Arizona, and they're an up-and-coming squad. I like the pieces they put together. They're in first place, 3-1. We're 2-2. But the 3-game series against San Diego, we come home at Oracle. We go with the Shark tonight, who hasn't thrown yet, and Cueto tomorrow. So I'm comfortable with those 2 starters. And then who knows what Kapler's going to throw out there with this system he's got in mind here, Baca, with this sort of all guys hands on deck, because there's no real starters besides Cueto and Shark for him on the roster. So who knows who it could be? It could be Smiley or Gosman or anybody in that 3rd game. But for the Giants, I think it's every series for us this year. You can't expect the Giants to sweep a series. If we win 2 out of 3, that's a win. That's a huge win for us. 1 out of 3 is what we're gonna typically what we've said would be expected for the Giants. You hate to get swept, but if we win 1 out of 3, that's what would anticipate, because we're only going to win 25 games this year. So, if we can get 2 out of 3 against San Diego at home, I think that would be a huge win for the Giants to go 4-3 in their first 7 games.
Oh, without a doubt, because the Padres and the Dodgers are the 2 best teams in the West, and the Giants first seven games go 4-3. I mean, that's a huge win for you guys. So
then we bring home. Then we have 3 more against Texas. I don't know much about the Rangers. They went 1-2 against the Rockies, and they're out. Their best pitcher is not even pitching. So I think we'll be competitive against Texas as well at home.
And then 1/6 of the season is over.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's how important every game is.
Every game is double. It matters twice as much or 3 times.
2.7. The value of one game is 2.7. So if you lose one game, it's like losing 2.7 games. That's why these Dodger these losses against the Giants are like, you got to be kidding me. We just lost 5.4.5 games to the.
Baca, let's get your listeners up in Chico and Northern California fans a little update on the A's as well. I know that KPAY covers the Oakland A's, and you can hear the A's games on your radio station, KPAY. They started off nice, won 3 out of 4 against the Angels, and what do they have this week?
Yeah, their bullpen, fantastic. I mean, their bullpen lights out yesterday. I mean, they pull Chris Bassett, who really gutted his way through 4 yesterday, and everyone says, man, oh geez. And after the game, he's like, I barely got through 4, man. I was hanging on. They go to that bullpen, and it was 5 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 7 strikeouts. They throw up a 0 on the Angels yesterday. They strike out Mike Trout looking as the tying run in the 9th inning. Matt Chapman got his bat going. He had 3 hits. Mark Canha, 2 for 4, home run.
Got both those guys on my fantasy team, Mike. Chapman and Canha.
Good for you, my friend. Yes. Good for you. Nice work.
It's the first time they've done anything, really, but we'll take it.
You'll take it. But I really like where the A's are, and I think out of everything that happened this weekend, the thing that they should be most excited about is the 3 innings of shutout baseball by Luzardo, their stud left-hander who had been nursing injuries, had a bout with COVID a few weeks ago. He goes 3 innings over the weekend in relief, shutout baseball. I think right now the plan is to pitch him out of the bullpen, but eventually he goes into that rotation. If they can get Luzardo and A.J. Puck healthy, going along with Fires and Mania, they've got something working there. I really like – the A's won 97 games last year, and they got burned by that 1-game playoff. I really like their squad. That Matt Olson grand slam on opening night. Yeah. It's a good ball club. They got the Rockies for 2 that tonight they take Thursday off and then they hit the road and they're in Seattle. But I think the A's could put up a big number. And I think the American League West is up for grabs. With the Astros losing Verlander, their pitching is not nearly as fearsome. And I think the A's have a real opportunity to win the American League West this year.
I like the A's a lot too, Mike. I mean, this is kind of in a short season like this is kind of the perfect scenario for the A's, isn't it? Like, I mean, they're in the mix, and like they're always with 60 games left in the year, they're always in the pennant race. I mean, so this is an automatic pennant race for them, and they don't even have to play the front end of the season, and they always show up every day. And never a team that sort of throws away a game or doesn't show up. They show up every day and they play hard and they're always in the game. They rarely get blown out, like get killed. And the way they play, they're gonna be in the playoffs this year with this expanded playoff situation. I truly believe they'll make the postseason.
Well, and I think it's a shoe-in for the postseason. I love their catcher Murphy. I love their center fielder, Laureano. You've got Chapman and Olsen at the corners. Simeon was almost an MVP last year at shortstop. And I think Bob Melvin does a great job. I mean, the only thing the A's need is they need a stadium. That's all they need.
The A's are
get the A's a stadium.
They are loaded with guys that very few people know about. And that's always their MO. You don't know about their guys, and somehow they always are winning and competitive, and they don't get a lot of publicity out there nationally, but they're always in the mix and play hard, and they're definitely going to be in the postseason and hopefully avoid a little one gamer where they can actually get into a playoff series and see what they can do. And if they get hot at the right time, they could go to the World Series.
They could win the whole thing. And the thing is that this year is the strangest of years. I had a friend tell me, of course he's a Giants fan, it wasn't you, but he said, whoever wins it this year, there's going to be an asterisk. And I was like, no, there's not.
No,
because there will not be an asterisk, because you've got 4 rounds of playoffs this year. You have a best of 3, you have a best of 5, and then you have the AL or NLCS, a best of 7, and the World Series. You have to win 4 rounds of playoffs. That's going to be so hard.
It's normally you got to win 11 playoff games to win the World Series. Right now it's 13. 2 out of 3.
13.
13
you win
wins
13.
you need in the postseason to get a ring this year.
Yep.
Man, that's even a more difficult task for your squad too. I mean, because it's getting that 11th win for you guys has been 10 and 11. Those have been rough. So that first round series, Baca, is going to scare the crap out of you.
Oh no, I woke up before opening night and I was like laying there and I woke up like, best of 3. Oh.
2 out of 3 to start the playoffs. You guys go 42 and 18 and lose 2 out of 3 to somebody.
Yeah. Hey, what if you go 48 and 12 and then you got you get Strasburg and Scherzer
and that's
and Corbin
a little further back than the Braves, and you get them again, or you get the Braves who finished a few games behind the Nets, and it's just something crazy, Oh my God. Hey, so as we wrap up our first show here, we want to throw in a couple more little segments about some baseball and just with some MLB news. Baca, your thoughts on some news that's been happening around the league. We talked about the coronavirus, which we can kind of skip right now. Everyone knows that situation. But, injury-wise, what's your take on some big injuries that are affect some teams in these first weekend? I mean, obviously the Verlander and Kluber injuries are huge.
They are huge, and I think that's the big storyline right now with those injuries. Andrelton Simmons for the shortstop for the Angels yesterday, he injured himself. I think he tripped over first base. I don't know how serious it is. The A's yesterday was listening to their postgame show. They seemed concerned that he might have a lower extremity injury in his leg with the tumbling over first base. To me, the storyline to start out, besides the injuries, is the fact that every game means something. You
So
cannot
much.
say, like Dave Roberts' favorite line last year was like, it's a long season and we'll figure it out. So when he doesn't have that sense of urgency after the Dodgers spit up on themselves in the final 2 games of the Giants series, I don't want to hear it's not a long season. It's a 60-game season. It's 40% of what you normally play. You can't feel your way into this.
You're
Every
automatically in a pennant race right now, Buck. It doesn't matter if it's a long season or not. There's 60 games left, and guess what? The Giants are a game out of first place with 57 games to play. I mean, we're ecstatic.
You're pumped.
57 games to play in the season. We're a game out.
You're a game out. You guys are pumped.
First. And
you're
in
pumped.
The pennant race.
Everybody
just gets to shift straight to a pennant race this year.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
I can't stare at it.
The other story, Bach, I just want to mention real quick was, if I'm looking at a team so far that's kind of surprised me a little bit, is the Red Sox have gotten hammered pitching wise. I mean, I don't know what's going on in Boston. They won their opening game, but then they got just getting drilled. They're 1-3. I don't know. Nothing really surprised me about some team-wise winning games. But did you see? I think the Braves are what, are they 1-3 as well, or
they're 1-2.
Or they're 2-2? They won yesterday. They won big.
Yeah.
But the thing, did you see they DFA'd Mike Fultonevich? Did you see that?
That is wild. I mean, wasn't he an all-star a couple of years ago?
He was a starting pitcher in the playoffs for them last year and won a playoff game 2 years ago and just flat out DFA'd the guy, just cut him.
He had a rough year last year, and I know he had injury issues, but that's a surprising move.
That's an arm that somebody's going to pick up.
Yeah, someone's going to pick him up, and these GMs, they all say, I can fix this guy. I'll fix it. I'll fix him.
Yeah,
so
his velocity, I was reading his velocity is way down, and that's why they just flat out let him go, and it hasn't improved. And he got hammered in his first start for the Braves, so they just said that they've had enough.
It's really amazing is that when your velo is at a certain level and your second and third pitches may be good, they may be better than average. But when you're throwing 96, 97, it really makes your second and third pitches look a lot better than they may normally be. But if you lose your velo and you go down to like 92, 93, and then your second, third pitches, they don't look the same. And hitters can sit because they're the best baseball players in the world.
That's right.
And we saw with Tim Lincecum. I mean, he lost it overnight. When his velo was, 97, 98, 96 consistently with his great changeup and all his the curve, everything was great. That velo made it. But when his velo dropped to the low 90s, it made his second and third pitches, everyone could sit on the fastball. Yeah.
Well, we've got to wrap things up here on the show here. We're running out of time, but
we're going to talk fantasy?
Yeah, we're going to talk fantasy right now real quick. I know you and I both have Ronald Acuna. I drafted him in my league. I ended up with the first pick in my league. So my logic was I'm going to take Acuna. I wasn't sure about Trout because at that point he was saying he wasn't might not play because of the coronavirus. So I was skeptical on him, but I didn't take Bellinger because there's no way I'm taking a Dodger. And
that's your first mistake.
That might have been my first mistake. But
I
would rather live with Acuna than Bellinger. And there's no possible way, Baca. I'm not going to play fantasy baseball and pull for any Dodger in any situation whatsoever. It's never going to happen. So it's not that important to me. So there's no way I'm going to pull for Cody Bellinger to do well against the Giants because he's on my fantasy team. It's not going to happen. So I skipped on him. And then, Yelich was coming off an injury. So we went with Acuna, which a lot of people were saying was the logical best player to pick anyway. And this dude, I know you said to stick with him. He's on your team too. But this dude is already slumping. He's in a slump to start the season. So he's a 1 for 17 with a single and 12 or 13 strikeouts.
Okay. simmer. Oh, hold on. Just back. Beep, beep.
I know the guy is
beep.
good, but
No.
that is literally a slump.
Okay. Yeah. But we got to let the listeners know, first of all, I'm in my 25th year of fantasy baseball, and this is your first year, right? First year?
Okay. I don't ever play. I only played this year because of the boredom factor. And I said, okay, I'll jump in this year because I have the actual time to decide who I want to start every day. In
First of all,
life, I'm not going to pay attention to it every day.
You need to just take it. You're paying attention to every single at bat. You need to it's a season. You're drafting a player. It's a season.
Yeah.
Like I'm in
Overall,
my
he's going to put
25th year. I'm in my 25th year. A week, 2 weeks, a month of a slump. Now this year it's going to be different. But the fact is, you got to let your guys play. You can't sit there and say, he's 0 for 8. He stinks. I can't believe I picked Ronald Acuna.
Just like everything else, Baca, it's an amplified situation this year. It's not 162 games. These points in these games are amplified in the way
he's not Buddy Biancalana. He's not Buddy Biancalana. He's not Johnny LeMaster. He's Ronald Acuna.
In 4 games.
He's Ronald Acuna. He's the most talented player.
League, tell me something. Does your league give you a negative point for a strikeout?
No, we don't do that.
Okay, mine does. And so you know what?
What kind of wonky league are you in?
Point total is through 4 games.
Minus
-10. -8.
Negative 8.
-8. He's gotten me. I don't even mind a 0. He's gotten me negative points more than any other player on my entire roster. He is at -8 through 4 games.
You're really worried about this.
No, I'm not. I'm done talking about Acuna because I know he's going to put up numbers. I mentioned Chapman. I have him. He's going to come around. I've got Kana. I've got Real Muto at catcher. He hit a bomb. I got Alonso at first, which he finally hit a home run yesterday against Boston. Yeah, I know he'll come around. So my team is okay. I mean, I don't know it's going to be the league winning team, but I've got some decent guys. I've got Bogarts at short. He hit a bomb yesterday.
How many teams are in this league? You got a bunch of superstars.
12 teams.
Who'd you draft with? Cardboard cutouts?
Hey man, I had the first pick and then the 24th and 25th picks.
That's a good squad you got there.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Here,
guess what, Baca? In the first week, my team had the fewest points of anybody in the league.
Well, yeah,
literally the fewest.
Yeah,
we lost both our games. You played 2 head-to-head games in a week. I lost both of them.
Well, I'm in a head-to-head league, and it's like, but I'm in my big money league, the league that I've been in for 20 plus years. It's a rotisserie league. So it's cumulative, and it's where you got keepers, and it's where it's 30 rounds. We have 6 bench players. We take minor league players. So after the draft was over, of course, the kiss of death, CBS Sportsline says, Bleeding Blue, name of my team, Bleeding Blue will ride Cody Bellinger and Ronald Acuna to a fantasy league title. I was like, every time CBS Sportsline says your team's going to win the championship, they never do. So I love my squad. It's just that my squad's slumping a little bit right now. But you look at me and look at Fanucchi. Fanucci is freaking out. 1 for 17, 13 strikeouts. The world's falling. I've got Ronald Acuna, and I'm like, I'm cool. It's all right. It's going to work.
Well, I'm in a head-to-head weekly league, and basically he lost the game. He's contributed nothing for that week. But
so you're blaming Acuna for losing the league. Yeah, he's losing me the league. No,
he lost those 2 games in opening week. But anyway, it's a new week starting on Mondays. It goes from Monday to Sunday, and yesterday my team was phenomenal and played great. So we're ahead in the early portion of the week. So we'll see how the fantasy baseball goes, Baca. Like I said, I'll probably only do it this year because I can't. It drives me nuts to pay attention to other players.
All you got to do is pay attention.
Basis.
You don't have to pay. Listen, what you need to get in is a rotisserie league where you draft, and that's it. You draft and it's draft night. You prepare for draft night, and then you sit back and you say,
and
I hope my
players
team
do well.
Yep. Yeah. And then you occasionally will pick someone up, but to follow it daily and be like, oh, this guy's, I got indigestion over Ronald Acuna striking out 4 times.
I got to lay off the thing. I mean, I'm just excited about it because it's the first week of the year, and eventually after a couple weeks, I'll probably calm down about it because basically, I mean, we're doing this show, we're watching baseball games. You know, I'm paying attention to fantasy baseball right now because what the hell else is there to do? I mean, I'm stuck at home. I'm a high school teacher. It's summertime. We're not going back to classes anytime soon here in Texas. So, you know, we can't really go anywhere. My family doesn't go outside and do much. I mean, we're not going to restaurants and going out and doing things and traveling. You just can't. So, you know, I sit back by the pool in the backyard and I watch baseball now and watch sporting events. And heck, I even got into a fantasy NASCAR league, Baca. I don't even watch car racing. I'm so bored. So I got a group of guys where we put $10 in the pot, and I get 4 NASCAR drivers every race, and it's like a lottery. And my guys, I just get 4 guys, and they turn left for 3 hours, and if my guy wins, I win $100. Fantasy NASCAR, man. I won it one time. I had Kevin Harvick, and he won me $100. I don't know if that's illegal. If anybody hears this, illegal gambling. But
wow. I've heard it.
That's where we're at in the world, Baca, in sport.
We're there.
Fantasy NASCAR.
You know where we are.
And Baca, enjoy coming up next week. We'll be able to talk about the NBA bubble. The Warriors are in it.
Hey, and who knew? And who knew?
Watching the bubble.
You know what I want to do is I want to go to the place where Lou Williams was getting his wings. Who knew strip clubs had the best food in Atlanta? It's all anybody's talking about. Like, he went to Magic City, and I'm like, what was he doing? Oh, he was getting chicken wings. I'm like, yeah, right. And they're like, no, they're like the best wings in Atlanta.
He's on a 10-day quarantine now because of that, unpaid.
Yeah, he went to a strip club for the chicken wings.
Who's the favorite to win the NBA title, Baca?
Oh, I think the Clippers.
Okay. Well, let's hope not the Lakers.
I love the Clippers.
Anybody but the Lakers.
Anybody but the Lakers.
Anybody but the Lakers.
I don't want no Lakers.
And on top of this, Baca, the NHL is starting up again in Canada. Are the Sharks in that?
No.
So we missed we didn't even get in the NBA.
And we didn't even get a first round pick because we lost our first round pick in the Erik Karlsson trade. So Ottawa got it, and Ottawa was in the lottery. So Ottawa has like the number 2 and number 3 pick. Sharks lost their first round pick, but Karlsson's worth it. I mean, there's not many guys who are worth a first round pick. He is, but Sharks are, they're kind of in a weird kind of way. I won't
be watching the NHL bubble in Canada very much. I'm not a huge hockey guy unless the Sharks are in the playoffs, and even then, I just look for the Sharks to blow it in the playoffs. So, what is it? 18 of the last 20 years they've made the postseason and lost in the playoffs. Got to the Stanley Cup Finals once. All right. Well, hey, it was a great first episode, Baca. I enjoyed the conversation with you. Great show. I look forward to doing it again next Tuesday, and we'll have it up on. Where are we going to put this, Baca? On the Kpay YouTube channel. Tell us about it.
Kpay Sports on YouTube. The show's every week. So if you're just catching this one, they'll be always on Kpay Sports on YouTube. It's the Kpay Sports channel. We'll be putting this up.
Yeah, and then we'll put it out on social media as well, on your Kpay social media. We'll put the link there. Hopefully fans can just click on it and either while they're driving down the road, listen to it as a podcast or watch us while we're sitting here talking the whole time. So appreciate the support from all your fans at KPAY, and hopefully this gets out to a bunch of our followers and listeners on social media.
Sounds like a plan. Have a good one, Nooch.
All right, Baca, good luck tonight against the Astros in Houston.
Hey, I hope we deliver some bruises.
All right, man. Take care. We'll see you next week.